Hi, hola, lo saco, jumbo, ni hao, guten tag, buongiorno. My name is Zeke Botokuma. I am an associate professor of philosophy at Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. I am also the founding president of Polyglots in Action for Diversity Incorporated, Polyglotte en Action pour la Diversité. Habemus Papam, the gospel of fairness and communal commitment according to Pope Francis. This is my statement and best wishes to Pope Francis on the occasion of his one-year anniversary. On February 11, 2013, Pope Benedict XVI caught the Catholic community by surprise when he announced his resignation effective February 28, 2013, due to age and health issues. He was the first sovereign pontiff to ever voluntarily resign since Pope Gregory VII, almost 600 years ago. On March 12 and 13, 2013, 115 cardinals held a conclave to elect a new pope to succeed Benedict XVI. The two-day conclave resulted in the election of Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio of Buenos Aires, Argentina, who assumed the name of Francis. This name is reminiscent of the Italian Saint Francis of Assisi, or San Francesco d'Assisi in Italian, who voluntarily abandoned his privileged and luxury family life to dedicate himself to the poor of Assisi in the Duchy of Spoleto, Holy Roman Empire. While the election of the first Jesuit Pope, first non-European Pope, and the first Latin American Pope is widely seen as a big change, Pope Francis' real change remains to be seen. Obviously, 1 year is not enough. But unless one believes in the Western Taoistic superstitions surrounding the number 13, Pope Francis' election on Wednesday, March the 13th, 2013, should not be interpreted by horoscope experts as a sign of bad luck and continued hopelessness for a hope-thirsty and reform-hungry Roman Catholic Church. Au contraire, the fact that, to paraphrase the new Pope in English, his brother cardinals had gone to the end of the earth to find the new Pope of Rome during today's critical time, seems to have given 1.2 billion faithfuls the audacity to hope again. They are hoping for reform in areas such as the ordination of women priests, marriage for Catholic priests, gay marriage, and clergymen's sex scandals. Alex Gibney's 2012 documentary film, Mea Maxima Culpa, in Latin, or Through My Grievous Fault, came out at a perfect time, that is, just 1 year before Cardinal Bergoglio became Pope. It's a story about the Roman Catholic Church in a critical moment and in need of reform. The film details the first known protest against clerical sex abuse in the United States. It could help understand some Catholics' concerns with their faith community, their call for action, and their hope for change and reform by the new Pope. Of course, 1 year is not enough. As the leader of Argentina's Jesuits and as the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, Jorge Bergoglio was opposed to the liberation theology movement, not because of its commitment to the poor, but because of its connection to Marxism. He was accused for this reason of quietism, for supposedly failing to protect people, including Jesuit priests, from Argentina's dirty war-related human rights violations in the 1970s. However, according to Sergio Rubin, Pope Francis' official biographer, quote, the Jesuit leader, who had never been charged of any wrongdoing, took extraordinary behind-the-scenes action to save them. End of quotation. Today's poor and excluded people all over the world also need somebody who is able and willing to take behind-the-scenes action on their behalf. If the name is Omen, then maybe Pope Francis is that kind of person. But, of course, 1 year is not enough. Cardinal Bergoglio was opposed to Argentina's same-sex law. He saw it as, quote, a destructive pretension against the plan of God, end of quote. However, according to Sergio Rubin again, he, that is Cardinal Bergoglio, also acted as a bridge builder, that is, as a pontiff or pontifex in Latin, by offering, in opposition to conservative bishops of Argentina, the civil union compromise as the lesser of two evils, thereby wagering on a position of greater dialogue with society. But will Pope Francis also be a bridge builder on behalf of today's gays? Maybe. As a matter of fact, on July 28, 2013, during the Pope's return from Brazil, where he attended the World Youth Day, he gave a surprising answer to a question relative to sexual ethics. He was asked about homosexuals in the Roman Catholic Church, and his response was, quote, if a person is gay, seeks God, and has goodwill, who am I to judge? For a church widely seen as out of touch, and whose members overwhelmingly support the progressive notions of letting priests get married and letting women become priests, Pope Francis may be the answer. But will the first Jesuit sovereign pontiff from the Americas ever allow women to be ordained priests? Will he ever allow priests to get married? How will he deal with sex and other scandals? These are some of the tough questions waiting for answers by the new Vatican's CEO. While we don't know enough, but can only guess his views regarding women's priesthood, we know, however, that Pope Francis included 2 women and 1 Muslim among 12 persons whose feet he washed and kissed on Holy Thursday on March 28, 13. The Jesuit Pope is the first sovereign pontiff to ever show this kind of inclusiveness. Is this a sign of more change to come? And will such a change include the ordination of women priests? We also know that prior to becoming Pope, Cardinal Bergoglio was for priestly celibacy. For now, the discipline of celibacy remains firm, he said. Actually, he told Rabbi Abraham Skorka in a 2010 interview, quote, "Some say, with a certain pragmatism, we are losing manpower. If, hypothetically, Western Catholicism revises the issue of celibacy, I think it would, for cultural reasons as in the East, not as universal option. For the moment, I am in favor of maintaining celibacy, with the pros and cons it has, because there are 10 centuries of good experiences rather than failures." End of quotation. Hopefully, the new pontifex will use his pragmatism to do something about the church out of touchiness through common sense reforms, including but not limited to priestly celibacy. Detractors of priestly celibacy include, among others, Archbishop Emmanuel Milingo of Zambia and Cardinal Keith O'Brien of Scotland. Milingo is the former Archbishop of Lusaka, Zambia, and a former Vatican official. He was married to a Korean acupuncturist woman in a New York City's 2001 mass wedding ceremony, at which the late Reverend Sun Myung Moon of the Unification Church presided. The late Pope John Paul II excommunicated Milingo in 2006. Milingo has been advocating marriage for Catholic priests through his Reformed Catholic Churches, a schismatic movement in Africa whose membership is estimated at 300,000 followers. Cardinal Keith O'Brien, the former head of the Catholic Church of Scotland since 1985, recently, shortly before the March 12 and 13, 2013 conclave, called for priestly marriage on the ground that the requirement for priestly celibacy was not of divine origin, nor is it one of the Catholic Church's basic dogmatic beliefs. End of quote. In other words, for the 75-year-old Catholic prelate who told the BBC Scotland that the celibacy of the clergy, whether priests should marry, Jesus did not say that. These are his words. O'Brien resigned, of course, before the conclave due to his own sex scandal. The Catholic Church's necessary reforms are so big and so urgent that the sovereign pontiff will have to act more collegially than ever before and as primus inter pares, or first among equals. His April 13, 2013 appointment of an 8-member advisory board signaled the new Vatican leaders' commitment to more collegiality. Moreover, according to some Holy See scholars, this new commitment is consistent with a more horizontal government that the Second Vatican Council sought. As a final note on the new Pope, it is worth stating that his selection as the Time magazine Person of the Year 2013 is a testament to Pope Francis' initial and unambiguous move toward rescuing the Catholic Church from its out-of-touchiness. He has signified this commitment through, among other things, his original apostolic exhortation, Evangelii Gaudium, or the joy of the gospel, in which, like President Barack Obama, a renewed nationalism, the Pope rejects obsolete trickle-down economics and makes the poor, the sick, the elderly, and immigrants the focus of his pontificate. The Pope must be commended for speaking the truth to the power by taking his message all the way to the World Economic Forum in January 2014 in Davos, Switzerland. For there to be a globalization that is not a jungle globalization, the international community needs courageous leaders like Pope Francis, who is not afraid to say, in his own words, no to an economy of exclusion, no to the new idolatry of money, no to a financial system which rules rather than serves, and no to the inequality which spawns violence. I look forward to a positive response by Pope Francis to Speaker John Boehner's invitation to address the U.S. Congress. I also look forward to the March 2014 meeting between the Pope and President Barack Obama, and I join fellow Catholics and other people from around the world in wishing happy first anniversary to Pope Francis. Tantissimi auguri a te, Sua Santità, Papa Francesco. Grazie. Thanks. Muchas gracias. Obrigado. Obrigado. Merci. Dankeschön. Gamsa hamnidad. Siesien. Asante sana. Botondi. Arrivederci.